Hey there, I'm Michael Williams, your island chef. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're gonna be working on some fall back-to-school recipes. We have three that we're gonna work on. Three, that's 1, 2, 3. First off, we're gonna start off with a roasted pear custard bar. Delicious, really, just fall pears, roasted, good. From there, we're gonna go on to a cheddar smoky macaroni. Great, easy dinner or maybe a thermos to send off to school with the kids. Nice fall warming recipe. And then we're gonna finish it off with a burrito bowl. All of those coming up on today's show. So, let's get started on our roasted pear custard bar. First thing we want to do is we're going to bake our crust. So you bake the crust first, and then from there we make up a little custard. We add some roasted cinnamon pears into the custard, and we pour the custard into the baked crust, okay? So we'll start off, as I said, by making our crust. We're going to do it in the food processor. Really simple, really easy. So if you've got a food processor, great. Otherwise, you can use one of those pastry cutters. So we got our white flour here. We're gonna get 1.5 cups into our food processor. 1.5 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of sugar. So there's our flour. 1/2 cup of sugar. And now we just need some butter. All right, so let's get our butter in. Now, we need 1/2 cup, and we've got these little handy measurement things here, but word to the wise, sometimes these butter manufacturers don't put them on straight, so you need to make sure it's lined up right, so that the end of that line is at the end of the butter. There we go. 2/4 cups equals 1/2 cup. Perfect, so now we can take that off. And we'll cut our butter just into some chunks to make it easier for the food processor. Okay. Now we let the food processor run until that butter gets nicely incorporated. A little pulsing helps the action sometimes. And you want to just make sure the butter is nice and fine, not too coarse. Perfect, that looks great. So let's get this poured into our parchment-lined 9x13 pan. That's what works great. We're gonna pour this into the pan and then press it out a little bit. All right, so let's just get this roughly evened out here. And then we're gonna press it. And you wanna press it so it's firm, but not so that it's, really tight. You wanna leave it firm, but just a little bit not too packed. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me, but I know what I'm trying to say, so it kinda does. Tightly, but not too tightly packed. And then we're gonna bake this off in a 365-degree oven. Okay, so we'll check on that in about 15 minutes. Now, we can get started on our custard and roasting our pears and apple. Let's get a couple things out of the way here. So, we are going to use the mandolin. Handy little tool here. If you don't have one, that just means you need to do it by hand. But if you do have one, then guess what? You get to save some time. That would have been into the core, so I stopped mid-slice. And you can see I'm doing this in 4 stages. And then afterwards I can kind of take a peek. Oh, looks like I might be able to get one more off of that. That's good. So this is a great way to use up some of those delicious fall pears. Ooh. That one broke on us. We'll have to have a snack on that later. And then we'll just roll with our apple as well. Right on. So this is ready to hit the pan. Just need to get a little bit of butter in there. We're gonna saute the pears and the apple, a hot frying pan with butter, and then we're gonna finish it with cinnamon. Might need a touch more butter in there, we'll see. We'll just let that do its thing and we'll mix up our custard. So we'll keep eyes on that. In the meantime, let's get our custard mixed up. So, 3 eggs. There's our 3rd egg. Let's get our flour and sugar in there. Now, you know, this is not necessarily the healthiest recipe in the world. We're about to put 2 cups of sugar into here, but every once in a while, it's okay. You can do it. I do it. We all do it. It's okay. Just do it. Now, a little bit of flour in there as well. About 5 tablespoons. So I like to do a heaping 1/4 cup. What we'll do is we'll whisk that up. And then we'll also add a 1/4 cup of whipping cream. Maybe I'll grab that right now. All right, so let's get a 1/4 cup of whipping cream in there as well. And then we'll whisk that together. And this will be then ready. Oh, actually almost ready. We want some vanilla as well. I almost forgot. Almost forgot the vanilla. Little whiskeroo. Get everything incorporated. So about a couple teaspoons of vanilla. You can see I very accurately measured that. And then we'll get that incorporated, and then our custard base is now ready for our roasted pears. So as you can see, these are browning nicely now. Getting nicely roasted. We're gonna finish them off with some cinnamon. We've got some true Saigon cinnamon here, the real stuff. And I just like to toast it a little bit. So I put it in at the end because you don't want to put it in too early because it might burn. Right at the end, a little bit of toasting in the pan. Beautiful. Oh, the smell just comes alive when you do that. All right, so let's get those into our custard. We don't need our whisk anymore. We'll incorporate that with our wooden spoon. And this is now ready to hit our baked base. So as you can see, we've got a nicely brown base here. We're going to pour our roasted pear custard into the base. And then we're gonna bake this at a lower temperature. We did the crust at 365. But now that we've got our custard in there, we're gonna drop the heat down to 340. I find a good temperature. So that goes into the oven for probably another 20 to 25 minutes. Oh, I love that. Smells delicious. Now, gotta give a big shout out to one of my favorite chefs in town, Chef Heidi Fink. This recipe is actually adapted from her rhubarb custard bars. Oh my goodness, springtime, delicious recipe. So that's where the idea for this recipe came from. I figured turn it into a fall recipe with the roasted pears. We're gonna check on that in a little bit. Next up, cheddar smoky macaroni. So we're gonna work on our next recipe, some cheddar smoky macaroni. Now, this is a recipe for the kids, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask them to choose a vegetable to be included in the pasta, but then we're gonna sneak another one in there, okay? We're gonna puree some cauliflower into the tomato sauce and they won't know. I like doing that. That's one of my tricks. It's a good one. So we'll get them to choose like peppers or tomatoes or broccoli or whatever vegetable they like. You find that out. And then we're gonna sneak some cauliflower into the sauce. So let's get our broccoli chopped up. We're just gonna cut it into kind of, you know, bite-size little florets. We're not gonna need both of these actually. Just one of these heads will be fine. And then to cook it, obviously if you have a steamer basket, that's great. But you can also just toss the broccoli into a pot, like so. And then put a skim of water into it. So about ½ an inch of water on the bottom of the pot there, like so. Okay, and then we just put it right onto a hot element with a lid, like so. And we'll steam that once it kind of starts steaming, 3-4 minutes, ready to go. So as you can see, we've got a nice pot of boiling water here. I'm gonna season the water with some salt so that we can incorporate that salt into our pasta. And to try something different, I picked up some quinoa pasta. Figured why not? Nice little alternative. We're gonna boil that. It only takes about 4 minutes for this stuff. We'll keep a close eye on that. Ready to strain it. Now, let's get a frying pan rolling. And we'll saute our smokies. We've got some beautiful Tannadice Farms cheddar smokies here. We'll slice these up and get them in the pan. Look at those chunks of cheddar in the smoky, love it. Okay, smokies are gonna go into our pan. Wow, our broccoli is steaming away. Get a little bit of butter in there. Let the smokies do their thing. And let's take care of our pasta. All right, so it's only 4 minutes for this quinoa pasta, which is pretty cool. And as per the instructions, it says to give it a rinse with some cold water, probably to stop that cooking process. So we'll do that. Take a peek at our sausages here. Okay, they're coming along nicely. Let's get our tomato sauce and cauliflower pureed together. So we're gonna add tomato sauce to the blender. And we're also gonna add the cauliflower that we're sneaking in. And we'll blend that up. Once that cauliflower is nicely incorporated into your tomato sauce, we're now ready to pour this right into the pan with our smokies. Let's do that. Okay, so you can see our sausage, our smokies here are nicely roasted. Add that cauliflower tomato sauce right in. A little bit left in there, which I can use for something else. And now at this point, we can just turn that off. Let's finish this up. All right, let's get this broccoli out of here. So all we need to do is just strain that water off and we can add the broccoli right to our pasta. We're gonna grate some cheese. Got some delicious natural Pasteur's Bauernkäse here, but any cheese that you have on hand will probably work. So we'll grate this up, put that on top. So this will just kind of melt right into that cauliflower tomato sauce. And you know what? Like, when you taste this, you can't even taste the cauliflower, but it's just beautifully snuck right in there. It's a great way to incorporate just a little bit of extra vegetable. And you know what? I say it's for the kids, but guess what? It's for you too, adults. We all need our veggies. Okay, ready to add in our pasta. I don't think we'll need all of that. That's probably good there. You might be shipping this off with your kids to school, or bringing it with yourself to heat up at work. It smells awesome. And this is just a great, super simple, fall, comforting kind of dish. So, as you can see, quite simple to throw that together. Beautiful, simple fall recipe. Great to take with you to work. My mouth is watering. I'm gonna make it water just a little bit more by grating a little bit of this Borincos on top. I think it's time to taste. Oh boy, can't wait. No idea there's cauliflower in there. Fantastic. Like those quinoa noodles too. So, there you have it. Cheddar smoky macaroni. Next up, we're gonna work on our burrito bowl. All right, folks, strip loin steak underway in the pan. We're starting on our burrito bowl. This actually could be a steak burrito bowl. How's that sound? Steak burritos, delicious. Steak burrito bowl, also delicious. So we're gonna grill our steak in our pan there, roast it off in the pan. Once that's done, then we're gonna start making a kind of refried bean mix. So we need some chopped onion and garlic for that, and jalapeno for that matter. So let's just get some diced onion. I've got a nice white onion here, beauty. Nice onion, looking good. So what we'll do is just put a dice on this, large dice. That's gonna go into the pan after the steak is done. There, that should be good. A little bit of jalapeno. If you want it hot, leave the seeds in the veins if you want that heat. If you want to mellow it out and just get the flavor, then you can remove the seeds and veins. And if you want a little bit of heat, then remove some and leave some. And I like to leave my jalapenos a little bit chunky. I really like spice. So I would probably leave all the seeds and veins in, but I wanted to show you that because I thought you'd appreciate it. Our steak is ready for a flip here. Make sure we get nicely coated. Season it on this side as well, a little bit of salt and pepper. We'll let that finish up. Okay, let's get a little tidied up here. Get some garlic off of this clove here. That's a dense clove of garlic, which is good. And I'm just gonna slice the garlic. You're just getting a couple cloves, cut the tops and the bottoms off the clove. Crush them. And they're nice and easy to peel. So that can pop in the pan even before the steak is finished. We're making, whew, I just inhaled some jalapeno. We're making use of that great flavor, the caramelization that we had in the pan from the steak, which is great. I think someone must have hybridized those jalapenos with some habaneros because they've got a kick. Wow. Holy. Okay, we're gonna carry on. I'm gonna push through just for you. We're gonna dice up some tomato and garlic. Gonna be some of the garnish. And by the way, I've got some rice in that pot back there. And behind that frying pan, there's some rice. So those are the components of our burrito bowl. We've got our rice, we're gonna have some diced tomato. Our steak is nearing completion. I like a good medium rare, so I'm thinking the steak is there actually. So I'm just gonna pull the steak out. Give those a stir. Almost ready to get the beans in. A little bit of avocado. diced avocado, looking good. Okay. All right, so our onions and jalapenos and garlic have caramelized nicely. Get the beans in there. Get rid of some of that nasty jalapeno vapor that I've been inhaling. We'll soften that up. I'm gonna actually add just a little kiss of apple cider vinegar, which is a nice touch. Some salt and pepper. And we'll let that kind of do its thing. Mash those beans up a little bit. Homemade refried beans. Fantastic. So, I think I'm gonna do up just a little bit more avocado here, since we've got it. Actually, that's good. That's good. A little bit of salsa. So all of our components are together now. We've got our rice, our refried beans, our steak, which we need to cut. I'm just gonna let that rest for a couple more minutes. Some tomato and avocado, a little bit of fresh cilantro. I washed this. You always wanna make sure you dry your fresh herbs before you chop them. So do a really good job of washing it. Herbs like parsley, especially cilantro, are quite dirty when you get them from the grocery store a lot of the time, like actual dirt. Keep them in a glass of water on the counter there for the next couple weeks, no problem if you want. Oh boy, this is coming together nicely. So let's cut into that steak. Let's see how we did. Okay, so let's cut our steak. A strip loin steak is my favorite, absolutely. This is nice Island Pastures beef, which is also great. Island product, Denman Island to be specific. And now that we've done this, we are ready to assemble our burrito bowl. All right, let's assemble. Now, I cheated a little bit here. We've got some short grain rice, also known as sushi rice. So not actually traditional kind of, Mexican rice, but that's okay. We'll survive. I like the sticky rice. I love it, actually. So we're gonna use that bowl. Save dishes whenever you can, man. Got some rice in the bottom of our bowl. Some of our delicious refried beans here. Let's finish it up. Okay. Let's make this look pretty. Some fresh diced tomato. Some avocado. Nice handful of steak. Nice ample serving of salsa. And finish it off with some fresh cilantro. So, when you're making this recipe, if you want to go with the mild version, you can skip the jalapeno altogether. Jalapenos are normally quite mild. These guys there was something serious. I could tell, something in the air tonight. But it's time to taste this. Such a nice fall dish. Tomatoes are beautiful. The beans, the rice, it's so fresh, healthy, nutritious. Loving this steak burrito bowl. Coming up, we're gonna see how that roasted pear custard bar turned out. Sound good? Okay, folks, here it is. The apple custard, pear, and apple custard bar. What we're gonna do is peel off that parchment paper. You see how easily that comes out of the pan with the parchment paper on there? Then it's just time to cut it. Now it depends on how you're feeling that particular day, about how big or small you cut the pieces. That's looking pretty good for today. What do you think? That's awful. Can't stand it. It's really not very good at all. Just kidding. It's delicious. So, roasted pear custard bar. We've covered 3 pretty fantastic recipes today. We started and finished with our roasted pear custard bar. We did our cheddar smoky macaroni and the delicious steak burrito. All 3 of those recipes you can find on countrygrocer.com. They're there along with hundreds of others. Thanks for being with us, and see you next time.
Country Grocer.